We come to hunt good game, be good stewards of the land, be good stewards of the world, and be peaceful and motivational. And more than anything, teach these kids how to hunt so we don't have to hunt for these kids.
Well, one thing that I know my dad was always want, and I don't run this club based on what I want. I run this club based on what my dad would want or what the original five would have done. And they would just want people to work together, man. You
Yeah.
know, we need to put our egos aside, and I'm not just talking about my club, I'm talking about clubs in the area, I'm talking about clubs across the country.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to come together.
All right, another week. Tell y'all right now, excuse the voice. Still trying to get it back. I left most of it at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta over the weekend. But
Oh wow.
welcome to another episode of the Bryant Land Show, episode 138. He is Antonio Marsh with Hunting with the Marshes. I'm AB3 with official Bryant Land, and our guest this evening is a fella that I've known for a minute. We share the same name or the same last name, so we related somewhere, somehow. The
Somewhere down the line.
manager, president of the BUCKWILD Hunting Club, Mr. Corey Bryant. Corey, how you doing, bro? Welcome back
I'm,
to
do-
the Bryant Land Show.
I'm doing just fine, gentlemen. How are you all?
Man, we good. We good. Man, so longtime listeners of the Bryant Land Show can go back in the archives. I was doing my research today. It was almost 5 years, 6 years ago. I did the very first episode, one of the first episodes with Corey, and you talked about the hunting club and the history and stuff. I wanted to bring you back on today because I know some people are just not familiar with the Buck Wild Hunting Club. Like I said, I was doing my research, just going back and listening to our first podcast, and it is a truly remarkable story. Antonio, these guys, five members when they first started. At the time when we talked, it was 37 years ago. I think now what Corey, y'all up to what 43? It's 43 years now, right?
45. This is year number
45 years.
45. Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, so wow. So yeah, it's been a minute. Five guys, five Corey's father, his uncle, three other fellas, 50 acres in Buckhead, Georgia, when the club first started. And they still going strong today. Corey, I'm gonna just get out the way. You just let you tell it, because obviously you know it. You know the history. Just
Uh,
take
well,
off.
like I say,
Take
you
off.
are right, man. It was the original five. Kenneth Bryant, which is my dad. Jimmy Bryant, which is my uncle. Theron Sharp, which is my other uncle. Clifford Plummer and John Porter. The original five guys, man. That started this club 45 years ago. This is our 45th year anniversary,
Woo.
and they man, those guys gelled together so good, and the principles in which they started, the foundation in which they gave us to carry this club on this long, man. Um, it was just unmatched. Uh, my dad led us from the start all the way until 2008. Unfortunately, we lost my dad. Uh, the year that my dad died, the club, it was kind of it was kind of crazy because we didn't know our sense of direction for a few weeks. But I was fortunate enough to have been running things behind the scene for a few years, and I was voted in as the president because of that knowledge. And it's been it's been me since then. It have not been an easy road, but we have made it look easy.
Right. 17 years. So you've been president. So how old were you when you took over there, Corey?
I was 28.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
at the time I was the youngest person in the club. Um, but it it's a touching story because it was a lot of times when I would rather be doing other things. My dad would be like, "Hey, I need you to go and take this check to this person. I need you to go and meet with these people. I need you to do this. I need you to do that." And at the time, I thought he was just being lazy and working me to death. But in hindsight, he was grooming me.
Yep.
Um, I don't know whether he saw something I couldn't see with himself, but when he passed away, it was another gentleman that was the vice president, and we had a meeting, and you know, the issue was who could contact landowners and who had a rapport with the landowners and the people in the community, and the gentleman he didn't have that, and I did. So it was opted to vote me in as a president. I have been the president since then, and I have learned a lot, and I was still learning, man. I was young, all I wanted to do was hunt, kill deer, have fun,
Yeah.
party, stuff like that, stuff that we
Get in the
know.
woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The business side of it, I was being forced to do before my dad passed away. You
Right.
know what I mean? But I adopted better business sense, and I truly, man, it changed my life. To be honest with you, everything I know, about being a man, everything I know about just about everything I learned right here in this hunt club, man. From my dad and some other guys, that was great role models. I mean, I've been blessed to be around a lot of great men in this club, man.
Did it, because you said you were voted.
Hmm.
Was it unanimous? Like, was it kind of like almost, like a unanimous decision? Like, okay, this is the guy he been grooming. Because I'm sure some of the other members could see what your dad was setting you up for too.
Yeah, but I think what it boiled down to, Adam. Uh, and I'm gonna get over here near a charger, but what it boiled down to was that I was knowledgeable about with land. I had a report with the landowner. So what happened is a couple days after my dad died, we had some guys that uh showed up to a tract of land, and there was a gate there.
Mm,
And they called the gentleman that was the current vice president, and he was they was like, "Hey, we got a gate over here. What do we need to do? This is our hunting spot." It was my dad died on Labor Day, September 1st in 2008.
mm,
And so that, of course, was 2 weeks before hunting season.
right.
So the next week, um, I spent that whole next week dealing with that. His funeral was September the 8th.
Mm,
And then that next Saturday, his funeral was that Saturday. That next Saturday was opening day of hunting season. So that Friday, I get a call from my uncle, Theron,
mm,
and he's like, "Hey, I'm down here, and it's a gate on the tract of land we had." He's like, "It's a gate across the road." I'm like, "Hey, well, it shouldn't be a gate there." And he was like, "Well, he said, I called, and I ain't gonna mention this guy's name, but he said, I called this guy,
mm,
and he told me to call you." And I said, "Okay, well, if you give me a second, I'll get the landowner on the phone, and I'll call you right back."
right.
I called, the landowner was in Delaware. I called, and I got her on the phone, and she, after we got through her telling me how sorry she was about my dad, and she said, well, it shouldn't be a gate there. You sent me a check. I have the check. I've cashed the check. The lease is paid. If it's a gate on my property, you didn't put it there, you cut it. And I said, okay. And then that's when I found out that she had instructions if anything happened to my dad, not to deal with anybody but me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so I said, okay, well, I thanked her. I called my uncle back. I said, hey, I spoke to landowner. The gate shouldn't be there. If it's a lock on the gate, cut it.
Mm.
And so when we had the meeting that next day on opening day of hunt season, I even myself was all in line to just allow the other guy to be president, because like I say, I wasn't very focused on. I just wanted to hunt. You know what I mean? Running a club is hard work, man. You have to deal with a lot of different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You try to please people who you otherwise shouldn't be pleasing. You
Right.
have to put yourself to make sure that guys can come in and have success. So I, I wasn't ready to do all that. I was trying to put Big Deal on the ground.
Right.
But
And not to mention you just lost your dad.
and not to mention I just lost my dad. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of people couldn't have handled that. It was very hard for me to handle that.
Right.
Very, very hard. But, in the meeting, I was all fit to just let it flow. And, this guy was the vice president, let him be the president. But it was my Uncle Theron that said, well, guys, I just want to think about something. He was like, I called this guy and he didn't know who the landowners were. And he still don't. Our president should be the person that had the rapport with the landowners.
Yeah.
And so, it was they voted me to be the president, and I guess it was supposed to be like a trial for a year or something like that. And I did my thing, and we were successful that year. We
Yeah.
we got things done. And it just some people just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I was the youngest person in the club, so every time I would, if somebody were to do something wrong or somebody, if I had to, hey, get on somebody about something or correct somebody about something, they looking at me like I'm Kenneth's son instead of Corey Bryant, the president of BUCKWILD Hunt Club.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I'm Kenneth's son, but I'm also a man who had my own family, have my own house and things like that. And some people just couldn't get with that.
Yeah.
So, although we did well that first year, after that first year, the club split because, some of them guys just couldn't handle me being in charge.
Wow.
And I respect that. I do. I respect it. But, it in a way it hurt. And it was one of the harder times in my life because, I just lost my dad and I'm losing a lot of my friends too. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I listened to what Corey was saying. And same thing about that, Corey. It's almost like somebody almost tried to almost question your intelligence about does he even know whether this gate, we done put this lock on here, is he in charge of this land or what? Not knowing your
Yeah.
dad already done told you what's going on. And
Yeah.
it almost made me think sometime, was it somebody you knew that went and did that thinking that he ain't gonna know no better?
And you know what, Mr. Antonio? Uh after a very, very hard 6 to 9 months after the club split, I mean very, very hard. And my wife could tell you it was times I just could not sleep at night because it was betrayal that I was dealing with. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I had to come to grips with the fact that some guys I really loved and I cared about, you know what I mean? It
No,
was,
I feel you. I know exactly what you're
it's
talking about.
and and I had a talk with my brother Smooth, who he's supposed to be on here. He might be having some technical difficulties or whatever, but I talked with him one night and he said, "Look," he said, "you get put in situations, and sometimes you get put on a pedestal like you put up to be the president, and
Mhm.
maybe some people want to see you fail, you know." He said, "But as long as you doing right, I got your back."
Yep.
And we stood in the corner, man, and fought, and fought our way out. Not in a literal sense, but we fought, man. It has not been easy. It was that first year was not easy, but we peeled our ears back, man, and we kept this club successful.
Yeah.
And with the with the help of my Uncle Theron, who's still a very active member, my brother, Mr. Clifford, Bright. It was a bunch of us, man, who, hey man, we kept this thing going, and I had to learn on the fly a lot of things that I didn't know.
All right. Better late than never. One of the original members of the Buck Wild Hunting Club, the DJ, Mr. DJ Smooth, Mr. Anthony Dabney. Anthony, welcome to the Bryant Land Show, bro. It's been a long time since I seen your face.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for the welcome and all the hospitality.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right before you joined in, we was just talking to Corey, and he was basically setting up this stage and everything. Unfortunately, with the passing of Mr. Kenneth and just a little bit of the adversity y'all had to go through, with him taking over the club after Mr. Kenneth passed. From your standpoint, you watching your brother basically grow into his own, taking over the club. What did it look like from your point of view? Like, what was you seeing during that time?
Well, what I basically saw was that, you know, in 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 all of everything that we do, sometimes you have elders that are elders, and they wish to move and navigate through different situations just because they're elders. But what many people didn't know, that behind the scenes, was that Corey had been the person that had been making the moves happen in the club for years, while his dad, was sitting back training him and then enjoying the fruits of the labor that he and the original five started. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And what went on, with the adversity, sometimes you have elders that don't want to respect you just because of age. Not because you do a good job, not because you're not capable of doing a good job.
Yeah.
They just don't respect you because they just don't respect you. And for many nights and many days, it was a time that it was a real uphill climb for Corey to establish a foothold after the passing of Mr. Kenneth. That it that he's now the commander in chief. But what many people didn't know, he was always that. But
Right.
see,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to keep your enemies so close that you don't let them know what the left hand and the right hand are doing. You have to keep that business separated.
Yeah.
And when KGB transition, the whole hidden agenda of a few came to fruition at the homegoing service. And I'm not going to elaborate on a whole lot of it,
Right.
because we're not going to turn this into a negative thing.
Absolutely.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about it in a light that sometimes when things as such happen, it's an empowering moment. And that's what it became, because with the passing of Mr. KGB, his son was thrust into a real life situation of manhood.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that he wasn't a man at first, but sometimes when we don't move and we deal with comfort and complacency, God will move us and make us uncomfortable, where we will move, or he will move us to where we need to be in ways that we never understand.
Mm.
And I feel as though this is what happened, because for he and I we both learned some valuable lessons about people. When people show you who they are, you have to believe them the first time.
Yep.
And again, I'm not going to turn this into a negative conversation. I'm going to turn this into an empowerment conversation. When whatever happened, our club was catapulted into greatness because we had to pick up all the pieces that was left after the situation, took place. And we have not missed a beat.
At all.
We have not missed a beat. In fact, we've actually gained speed and motivation. When you run into the wind, sometimes you can run so fast that the wind get behind you and start pushing you. And that's where we are. And we don't talk about negativity. We don't dwell on negativity. We don't thrive on negativity.
Right.
We come to hunt good game, be good stewards of the land, be good stewards of the world, and be peaceful and motivational. And more than anything, teach these kids how to hunt so we don't have to hunt for these kids.
Right.
And that's what we are. At BUCKWILD Hunt Club, we are a family-oriented group. We are a group of big, good brothers. Everybody, is gameful. Everybody does something. Everybody has something to bring to the table. And with that said, everybody, I mean everybody within our core group, they have something positive that they bring to the table. We have military officers. We have brothers of different fraternities. We have brothers, that are firemen, law enforcement. Everybody brings something gainful to the table, and more than anything, everybody is a bad cook on the grill or whatever they do. Because if you ever want your diet to go to the left, come to BUCKWILD Hunt Club and something bad gonna happen. That's all I got to say.
Nah, that I can attest to personally. First of all, let me back up. Corey, you ain't tell me Smooth's gonna DJ and preach. You muted your phone, Corey.
Yeah, hey, smooth. He gonna rap now. He's a very fluent DJ, man. He does a good job, and it's uplifting to see him when he get on the ones and twos. But I mean, he's very articulate, man. He in his own roundabout way, he speaks the truth.
Absolutely. No, because I was gonna say the especially part about the diet. I remember when I came down and we hunted that time, and y'all had cooked like a lot of food and stuff, and we was sitting in that trailer, and he handed me this plate, and we getting ready to go hunt.
And I'm like, and you were getting ready to go to sleep.
I'm like, how are we supposed? And it wasn't like nothing light. It was like some Alfredo or something like that. Like it was heavy. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, dang, how I'm gonna go get in the stand. But we just sitting there chopping it up, talking, having a good time. Like, so I can personally attest, not that y'all need me to, but I can personally attest everything that you saying as far as just the positivity and the family atmosphere. That is definitely what BUCKWILD is all about.
Exactly, man. And I'm glad you got to come. After we had the first podcast, and you came and you joined up with us, man, for a few years, and you hunted, and you got to get a taste of what we all about, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna hunt some good deer, good game, as Smooth say, and we're gonna cook good. But the best part about our club, man, is we look out for one another.
Yeah.
This time of year, man, we food plotting. Everybody know it. If you're on Facebook, you can check us out on Facebook, BUCKWILD Hunt Club, or BUCKWILD Hunt Club. I mean, BUCKWILDHC.com is our website. But yeah, we get it done, man. And it's because I can't say enough about the foundation that we were given from the original five. I mean, these are guys I seen growing up with them guys. I seen one argument, one,
That
Wow.
was between two brothers.
and that was between my dad and his brother. I mean, my uncle not wanting to get a bed up when my dad brought me and my brother Ken down there for the weekend. That was the only time I ever seen any of them argue. But I can guarantee you that if somebody argued with one of them, you were gonna argue with all five of them,
Right.
and they got elbow to elbow, and they got work done. I mean, they shared everything, man, and that's hard in today's times. I'm gonna be honest with you, Adam. In today's time, it seems that everybody want to compete.
Right.
Everybody want to kill the biggest. Everybody want to kill the most. Everybody want the best spots. To say they do this or do that, man. When in actuality, man, what it's really all about, man, is just coming together.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that when a deer is born, he got somebody's name on. And he might walk past you. He might walk past Smooth. He might walk past Mr. Antonio, and y'all might miss him. Y'all might not see him. Or he might slip by y'all. But if he got my name on him, he gonna walk past all four of y'all, and I'm gonna be the one that pull the trigger.
Remember that. That's a good one.
What
Now,
you think about that, Mr. Antonio? What you think about
Hey, that's a good one. I gotta remember that.
but
that? I mean,
see, I know, Antonio, I know Corey. And I'm gonna call BS on that just a little bit. Because if he walked past all three of us, he definitely ain't gonna get past Corey. He
nah,
might not even get to all three of us if he go by Corey first. Corey
hey,
is a
listen,
certified killer.
Well,
Don't let
hey, man.
Corey humble his.
let me intervene you one time if I may.
Okay, go ahead,
And
Smooth.
and, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let the truth be told. So, some of the biggest deer that I have harvested have been in places that Corey have put me in. Deer he have watched for multiple years, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna tell the truth about it. So, what happens is after you get to be in a certain place, your fun starts to become the fun and enjoyment and engagement that other people that you bring forth into your craft to enjoy the same thing that you do. Because it was a time when when I first got in the club, I could have paid for some land leases and fines that because when if it walked past me, I didn't care if it had bones on its head. I didn't care if it had spots on its back. And I wasn't gonna let that. I wasn't gonna let that meat pass by me. That's my daughter waving, y'all.
How you doing?
So that, I thought it was just him. That meat, them back straps, and that doggone cube steak. I had to make it make sense. And see, during that same time, I was in my younger years, and I was in a young marriage, and I was arguing with my wife about going to sit on a cold tree. When I'm not gonna say the rest of that, but I was arguing about sitting on a cold tree, and she was at home. That's all I'm gonna say. But I had to make it make sense. And one day, Uncle Clifford Plummer said to me, he said, "Hey," he and I were hunting together. He said, "Hey, how many did you see today?" I said, "I saw 2." He said, "I saw 7. 4 of them didn't make it." And he said, "What kind of gun you shooting?" I said, "I'm shooting a 300 Weatherby." He said, "Yeah, that gun will shoot a long way, but it won't shoot from Decatur to Hancock County. It just won't do it. That ain't what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to sit down in that tree. You're going to have to go to hunt." Because I would come down and I hunt 2 or 3 hours in the morning. I'd go back home because I was DJing a lot. And I was touring, doing shows. And once I learned how, well, first of all, let me say this too. I was a fledgling with a big gun, and I didn't know what that gun would do. I was shooting. I used to have a little 308, a Harrington and Richardson 308, and I could do things with it. But when I got a 300 Weatherby, that it became a whole different game. And what happened was the first time I looked through that scope, I was just looking. I had no intention of pulling the trigger. I just looked through the scope and saw the deer. I could look at it with my eyes. But I pulled that scope up to my eye, and all of a sudden that deer just fell down. And it happened so much that Corey, one day, we got down there one Friday, and we had gone to town, and we went to their place called Holcomb Barbecue. They didn't sell no real. They used to sell their little sawdust Brunswick stew. But anyway, Corey said, "Hey, look, man, I need to talk to you because this what's going on." He said, "Look," he said, "you kill another illegal deer." He said, "I don't care how much money you got." He said, "They gonna get your ass up out of here." And I said, "Okay, man, I ain't gonna kill now another one." So I started taking my time during the year. I would sit in my backyard and look at my deer targets that I would shoot the bow with through my rifle scope, so I would shoot it. and God in heaven is my witness. Now, when I pull the trigger on the deer, it'd be a good one. It'd be a good one. I can watch them now, but sometimes I still have to make sure that I look at them with my eyes. I count them with my eyes, but if I ever pull that gun up to my eye, some bad gonna happen. And that's not to say that I'm a reckless hunter, because I ain't gonna do nothing that's not a deer.
Right.
I'm always, recognize my target as a game animal. But the fact of the matter is that, man, I like I said, I was a fledgling to a new gun and a whole new exciting situation. And here we are.
I'm still at. I would put the scope to my eye and the deer will fall.
Yeah.
Hey,
man.
Adam, let me tell you. This guy, I had to make him. I said, "Look, man, you're gonna have to get you some binoculars because, like he said, he can look at deer.
Mm-hmm.
If deer walk up, he can look at them. But if he put his scope on them, he gonna squeeze the trigger. He couldn't. He didn't have no self control.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you.
Hey, y'all see my cataracts?
I want to tell this story. We ain't gonna blame it on his cataracts. I want to tell this story. So, like I say, me being a young president at first, that was some of my adversity because I'm trying to tell him, hey man, you can't kill some of the deer you're killing,
Right.
So one day I was sitting around and I had been watching, I'm a big bow hunter. And so when I was transitioning into just hunting with a bow,
Mm-hmm.
I would see deer. I would see nice deer, but they'd be just off, just out of bow range. And bow range for me is about 60 yards. But I would see them and they just off. So I said, me and my brother, we were setting up, and I said, hey, and I said, I just had an epiphany. And this is no lie. We was headed to another track.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? Come on, we're going to go this way. And I took him to a track that I had been hunting. And I put him in this tree. I said, we're going to put your stand on this tree right here. I said, I want you to face that way. I said, listen, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't blow this. But it's about 8:45. It's going to be a little deer come out. He always come out. It's going to be about a little 6-point. I said, do not shoot him. I don't care how good, how pretty he look. Don't shoot him. You need to just watch him. Watch his body language because there's always a big deal with him. And so he agreed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have faith. I just knew just soon. I knew at 8:30. Now, I hunted, not too far from him, probably like 300 or 400 yards from him. But I knew at 8:30 I was gonna hear his gun go off. So I'm sitting in there, and so I killed the doe that morning because my son, who plays for Florida now, his first football game in his life was that morning. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna shoot a doe and I'm gonna get down. And so I didn't hear my brother gun go off. His gun didn't go off to 9:15. When his gun went off, I ran the deer off. I had already killed the doe and she was laying there. And I had about 6 more deer there. I just ran them off and I got down and I started walking towards him because I knew he had shot the buck that I had been seeing. And he did. And that was his first big buck. And ever since then, he's been able to watch him. And I'm the type, like, like something that Smooth said was sometimes you get joy from watching the people who you brought into the craft have success themselves.
Right.
And that was my transition from Kenneth's son to Corey Bryant, the president, is because if I knew where a big deal, when my dad was alive, I knew where a big deal was, I was going to kill him. I was going to find him and I was going to kill him.
At all costs.
At all costs. Because I'm a fierce competitor. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I will see deer all both seasons and I say, you know what? Smooth, I want you to go hunt over here over the morning. He was like, well, I wasn't going to hunt over there. I said, you need to go to that tree. And I know he got at least 3 150-inch deer on his wall because of that right there. And he got a bigger deer than I got. I don't have a 150 yet. I got a bunch of 140s, but I don't have a 150 yet. But it's because I tell him, look, that deer he gonna come across that creek or that deer gonna come out that cutover. Just sit there till he show up because I see these deer during bow season.
Right.
And like I say, that was part of my transition I was telling you about, man, from being, I ain't gonna say a boy, but from being a journeyman to being the president. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was things that my dad would do for me. That was things that Mr. Clifford would do for me. Hey, it's a big deal over here. Go get him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how I learned. That's how I was able to get Smooth up to speed to do the same thing.
And that is really like you said, the essence of it is when you can help others and growing into that part of getting the joy of just seeing other people be successful. Like
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah, like it's definitely a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, one thing I will ask, just because of your lineage and just how things are going, is there like a younger person that's in the club now that you kind of seeing like, okay, we got something here, like let me kind of groom them and season them
Yeah.
and like,
He got his young son. He got his young son.
I was gonna say, is it Ken? I was gonna ask if it was Ken.
He got his young son.
I have Ken, but let me tell you, man, Smooth brought a cat in the club named Maurice. Yep. And he said, well, hey man, Maurice, I got a twin, and his twin brother is Mandries. We call him Little Twin. Okay. And if you watch any of my video, you hear me talk a lot about Little Twin. Now, Little Twin high class now. This guy got Amiri hunting outfits and Gucci hunting boots and stuff like that. But let me tell you, he cannot be no more solid of a cat than him, man. And he listens. He soak up everything I'm telling him. And Little Twin got 2 Popeyons 2 years in a row.
With a bow?
With a bow.
Wow.
Yes. And, wow. I just, he comes to my house. We got his bow set up. He walks in the woods with me. And he listens to what I'm telling him. He soaks it all up. And let me tell you, man, Little Twin is the truth, man. He's really learning. He's getting real proficient with the food plots. He don't mind putting in the work.
Yeah.
and he's good, man. He have that, like a lot of people can shoot in their backyard, but when a deer show up, it's a different
Yeah.
ball game. But
Yep.
Lil Twin, he have that killer instinct. And of course, Kendon is coming along just fine. I mean, Kendon can out food plot about 70% of the club, to be honest with you. When you talk about, getting on that four-wheeler, making no food plot, cutting it up, sowing seeds, driving a tractor,
Yep.
Ken he's what's up. He killed his first deer this past year. And
He'll put you on a deal too.
and he'll put you on a deal because he knows Ken is almost to where he know every tree on that property, and we have a lot of land.
Right.
But Ken knows every tree. He don't forget anything. He soaks it all up. Had a football game tonight, but he wanted to be on the podcast. I was like, nah, you gonna go play your football game. And he's like, Dad, thank God my game's on Wednesday, so I don't have to miss no hunting time.
Yeah.
He just Ken, he lives it.
He should, because like again, like when I was out there, he was literally joined to your hip.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
man, if we weren't hunting, if we was just hanging around like in the area or whatever, you saw Ken. He was
Yeah.
right there. So now these are the years where that is starting to pay off. That is so great to hear, because he was a little ball of energy just all over the place.
Yeah, and that's what my dad did for me, man. My uncle Theron, who's gonna be on here with us tonight, like I say, he's a pastor, a prominent member in his community. He had a town hall meeting he had to do tonight. But the first deer I ever shot at with a bow was because of my uncle Theron. I mean, he showed up Thanksgiving morning, and him and my dad usually would hunt together Thanksgiving morning, and my dad had partied a little bit too much, and I had my stuff sitting by the door. I was ready. I said, I go in this place. And he took me and put me on a deer. And I got my first shot of deer. Of course, I missed. I was like 13.
Right.
I missed it. But, it's that's just what I just cannot speak enough about. The way that those five guys were very unselfish.
Yeah.
Very unselfish. And to run a club, man, you gotta be unselfish. You have to bite the bullet sometime to make sure that your members have success, more so than yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man.
What you got?
Adam, I was listening to Corey's story about how the club got started and how he got into it, and sound like some of the individuals got him really into hunting. And it's good to hear that, because I think about when we interviewed Dominic that time,
Yeah.
and we asked him how did he get into hunting, and it's almost a similar story, the same way how he was the younger kid, he got in there, and all the older, I guess the older old heads showed him how to hunt, where to go, and what to do. So that's good to hear that it's not only happening here in Georgia and in South Carolina, but I'm sure it's happening in other places.
Yeah.
It was just so ironic that you said almost verbatim what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we need a lot more of, man. I know Smooth touched on it when he talked. I mean, we need to get the kids in the hunt so we ain't hunting the kids. I have two daughters and four sons, and out of my four sons, Ken is the only one that can sit still in a tree stand. The other ones, they'll go, but they can't sit still.
Right.
We'll never see anything. But Ken possesses the ability to sit still with a deer, or sit still with a turkey. I mean, me and Ken have been turkey hunting, and a deer walked up to where he could have touched the deer on the nose, and he didn't move, he didn't jump, he didn't get scared. I mean, he really had the poise to be able to hang in there, deer hunting. He can sit still.
Man.
Well, on the behalf of that, I feel as though Lil Ken is a reincarnation, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Hey.
Because I mean, sometimes his facial expressions remind me so much of expressions that I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, man, our club is built on pillars of strength, energy, and poise. And with that being said, Uncle Plumber called yesterday. I need to go and get them trophies. We got to get them. We got to get them trophies for the season. And it's crazy because we have some of the elder members that now don't even, the real elder members don't even go in the woods, but they still share the excitement that the ones that really go out and some of the newcomer members enjoy. And I'm talking about they get more excited to see somebody harvest a big deal or even teach a newcomer, some of the things of old as it relates to skinning a deer, as it relates to how to score a deer, different things as it relates to, like marksmanship. We have, as I said earlier, we have people in our club that come from all walks of life, as with many clubs. But what's unique about our club is the people that are in our club all look like us. And that's not to alienate anybody. That's just to say what we have.
Right.
So if anybody sees this, is this what my words and my verbiage is not to alienate anybody or discriminate against anybody, but we do what we do the way we do because our iron sharpens our iron.
Right. And that's something to absolutely be proud of. And that was one of the original things. The first time me and Corey ever talked, even long before we did the first podcast together, the thing that drew me is like I was just on Facebook one day and just messing around on Facebook and came across like one of the videos. And it was Corey and then it was Ken on the ATV. And they was out there on that field. And I seen all these brothers standing around, and I'm like, well, what is this? Because you see hunting clubs, and like you said again, and I don't worry about alienating anybody, but you see hunting clubs, and they don't look like us.
Oh yeah.
I see this video, and I see all these dudes standing around, and having a good time. They putting in the work and enjoying it, and I'm like, okay, what is this? I've never seen this. So that's what made me reach out to him to find out more about the original story and find out more about, okay, what is going on here? So that is something to absolutely be proud of.
Yeah. And I want to say this, Adam, man, like with Buckwild Hunt Club, man, we don't object to fellowship with anyone, man, because part of the reason why the original five started this club is because they would respond to ads in the paper, and when we would show up, and and they see who we were,
Yep.
all of a sudden the club was full, if you know
Right.
what I mean.
Right.
So I feel like as for us, man, and people who look like us, we should shift the focus out of the competition and shift the focus into working together, man, to grow this thing for us because, and I hate to get on the soapbox here, but our people are in trouble. Our young kids are in trouble. I coached football for 25 years, man, for that very reason right there.
Yep.
It's because our kids are lost, man. Our teenagers are lost. We even got some grown men lost.
Right. Yep.
And if I can attribute anything to me being a successful person in art in life, I can say I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a hunt club president, I'm a professional archer. But all of that is because of Buckwild Hunt Club, man. All of that comes from right here, from those role models and those guys. And then the support of people like Smooth, my Uncle Darren, we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
It's been times in life, I can't talk to nobody else. I can go to Smooth. I can't talk to nobody else. I go to my Uncle Darren.
Mm-hmm.
My Uncle Darren, he's dealing with some cancer stuff right now, and we holding him up. We don't let him get down.
Yeah.
We are locked in mentally and physically, man. It's the brotherhood in this club is unmatched, and like any family, everything ain't always gonna be peaches and cream, but we stand through the fire together. And I will not let one person in this club go lacking if I got something to help them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And that was what the original five did for one another. So, I say all that to say, you know, as a people, and I'm sure there's other black hunt clubs out there, man, we need to come together and see what we can do to change our demographic, to change our children, to fix our youth,
Right.
because we're in trouble. We really are.
And one thing I've learned just as being a person who really got into hunting, especially bow hunting later as an adult, not really, like growing up with it as a small child, but it is almost just like sports. Like hunting and being in the outdoors, it teaches you those lessons that transition into like life. I am a
No doubt.
notoriously impatient person. But
Mm,
for some reason, when I get out there and get in that blind and gotta wait 5, 6, 7, 8 hours for a deal or however long it is, like you learn that patience. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You learn how to pay attention to your surroundings. You learn like the discipline. It's like, okay, am I gonna get up this morning? Because I
yeah,
know that this deal been coming and I got a shot to
yeah,
go get them. Like
yeah.
so the hunting and outdoors, just like sports, is just like it's another tool, man, that can just build you up and make you like a better man or a better woman. Like, more people should
No
get
doubt.
into it.
And
If
you
if
learn.
if I if excuse me, y'all, if I can piggyback on that, you said about hunting in the blind. If I could get you to climb a tree just one time, and when you get in that tree just one time, and you just get that little slight breeze, you ain't got to be up way, way high or nothing. But you get in that tree, and that little slight breeze is blowing, and that tree rock you just a little bit. You will go all the way back to your young year when grandmama had you in her lap, going back to the formative years of hunting and going high. You get in that tree, that little subtle breeze rocking you back and forth like that. You start feeling like you listening to Bill Withers, Grandma's hands wake you up. I can't sing, but you get what I'm talking about.
You'd be up there
You know,
sleep.
you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and 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 then while being there, if you see a mother turkey walking through with her posts behind her, everything that she does, they're going to do. She's teaching them.
Hmm.
And as you're watching, you're learning yourself for something else for another time during your season,
Yeah.
whether you're a turkey hunter or whatever. Man, I saw a turkey do this. So when you go out there to turkey hunt, now you done put something else up under your hat that you wasn't even out there for. Or the same thing with a deer. You see that deer come down the trail and stop and skirt around and come back around you to get downwind of you. Now you know how you need to adapt and adjust to do what you need to do. They live out there. We just out there for fun.
Right.
If we mess up, we get our shirt cut. He mess up, he riding in the back of the truck. There's a big difference.
No, that's facts. That is facts. When I did used to get in the climber, I can fully attest to what you're talking about. That little, just a little bit, not too crazy, just a little sway, just a little rock,
Yeah.
a little bit. It is definitely, but I couldn't go no more than probably about 15, maybe 17 feet. Like I said,
And that sometimes that's all it requires.
yeah,
You know, but I don't try to press the issue because a lot of people are acrophobic, so we get it.
yeah.
You have to do what works best for you, and but for me, well, I go to the moon.
So let me ask you this. Have you gotten into the saddles or are you still on the climber and the regular
I don't like
thing?
those saddles because I don't like to stand up and see. Like even though you're in the saddle, you still have to put weight on your legs on that little thing that's on the tree,
Yeah,
and I don't like that. See, in that summit stand, I got 9 summit stands, and every one of them Summit offers a footrest
Right.
kit for it.
Yep.
And man, it's like sitting in my lazy boy recliner downstairs.
It really is. I
You
got
know,
you. I used to feel bad for having 3, but I don't feel so bad now when you say you got 9.
well, I'm gonna say this, and the way I ended up with 9, I had an employee at my job that I retired from that was really fond of me, and he would frequent garage sales, and he would frequent these sales where they would be clearing out storage places, you know, like these storage units. And he used to get those stands, and every time he would get one, he would bring it to me. Now, mind you, Mr. Tony old enough to be my daddy or my granddaddy, but he called me Mister because I always showed him love and respect.
Right.
So with that being said, once again we go back to that karma and energy of the love and fortitude of iron sharpening iron. Yeah. Just like they invest into us, when we invest back into them, they see a whole different aspect of people. Because sometimes the elders don't want to deal with us, you know, because they think we knuckleheads,
right?
You know, but you know, I come from, you know, I was raised by my mom and my dad. You know, I was raised by them, but I lived with my grandparents. And both sets of my grandparents lived on the same street, on opposite sides of the street. Mm. And I was the oldest grandchild, so I was rotten in a whole different kind of way. And, you know, and to say it any other way would just be, you know, you'd be telling a tale. Corey is younger than I am, but that dude has a wealth of knowledge in so many different things, man, that are gainful, and that, you know, to be around him, the energy that he possesses, it brings a different light to a situation. You know, and like, we are all professional men. You know, when you go to these business meetings and things, it's always gonna be one person. Somebody can be up there speaking, and then that one person come in the room, they suck all the energy out of the room.
Yep.
Well, when Corey walk in the room, he gonna bring energy to the room because he just that kind of engaging person.
Yep.
And to be a good leader, you got to be a good listener. And so for me, that's what I take from it, and I try to, you know, incorporate it in what I do. Yeah. So, hey, so here we are.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Hey, we had mentioned someone. I'm sorry, I had got knocked out. My mom didn't have a fast charge over here. I had to run and get a fast charge out the car real quick.
Oh, you
we
good?
Had mentioned someone earlier in the meeting that I think everybody should deserve to meet, man.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Sit right here. That's Ken right there.
That's the boy. You done grow. Ooh, you done grow.
Your beard picking up, ain't it?
How you been, young fella?
Good.
Golly, boy. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Well, Adam, that Florence just came out your boy.
Yeah, he done ate a frog or something, ain't he?
It's been a minute since I seen this young fella, and like we were saying earlier, like I said, when I would come out to the club, he would be just running around, but he was right up under his daddy, soaking it all in, getting all the knowledge, getting everything. He was right up under him. So yeah, it's just good to see you, young bro, man. You doing well? Everything good?
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. Your daddy say you out here killing them.
Yes,
putting them down.
Hey, excuse me, y'all. I got somebody at my door. I'm gonna have to jump off. Peace and blessings abundant to everybody. It's been a pleasure talking to everybody, and to everybody watching and listening. May you all be blessed, and may God bless you all and keep you all for a long time.
Yes,
Adam,
sir.
we'll talk later.
Good to see you, Smooth.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Always better to be seen than viewed.
That's for sure.
I'm gone, y'all.
All right.
All right.
right.
And Mr. Antonio, what kind
What's
of
up,
hunting?
man?
What kind of hunting y'all doing up in South Carolina?
Well, right now, I'm gonna be on Fort Jackson hunting because I've lost 2 hunt clubs in a row that we were in. So you know how it is, logging companies. The other one just got bought outright. Dude just came in, dropped. I ain't gonna say cash, but he
Yeah,
bought 3,000 acres for some money. And where he
yeah.
got it from, I have no idea.
Hey, that's a
So
part of it though, man. We have dealt with things like that in the past. We've had, landowners that we've been leasing from and they pass away and they didn't have like a will or something, and they land end up getting probated. Uh,
mm,
we've never dealt with the logging companies, but you cannot help, you can't help what happens. As a hunt club, you leasing land. If you don't
yeah.
own it, you at the landowner discretion. So whatever go on in the family or whatever, that's beyond your control.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because where I'm hunting it now, and I got to tell Adam one day I was sitting there, and we had that iSportsman that we can log into to go check out the areas on the
Mhm.
installation. And I said, Adam, look at this, man. I'm trying to get out here, and what they're doing for Jackson, if there's like training going on, or if the area is flooded, or if they're just doing something military related, they'll get on that site and they'll block all them areas off, and you can't get out there. And it seems like every
Right,
time I get ready to go, one of them areas are red. I said, you know what? It's I had such the luxury of hunting in those clubs where I could
hmm
get out there when I wanted to, put cameras up and blinds and get my stand set up. But here it's a little different because you're mandated by SCDNR and you're
right,
mandated by Fort Jackson. So it's like you're following almost 2 different set of rules. I mean, they
right,
killing deer out there, but it just when you come from one thing to another, it's a hard transition.
right. Yeah,
And
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, when you're dealing with clubs, or I know I have friends that hunt like WMAs and stuff like that, and they'll go out and they'll pattern deer, and they go there and somebody in the spot that they pattern.
Mhm.
Like if you're in the WMA, you can't really do nothing about that. You try to beat them to the sign-in spot, but if you don't beat them to the sign-in spot, they get out there at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And they already sitting in your spot when you get there. There's not much you can do about it.
yeah.
Yeah, like we interviewed my old club manager. What was that and about 2 weeks ago? Two
Yeah.
weeks ago,
Yep.
and even him, the guy. I mean, he has he's full of knowledge about hunting, and even he's been caught off guard on stuff. Because he was
Mhm.
like, remember he was talking about he was on Fort Jackson, and he came out to go check that deer in, and we got to the gate. They asked him, they said, "Hey, why didn't you take the most direct route back to the
Yeah,
game check
yeah,
station?"
What?
because y'all have different. They have different set of regulations on posts than like. So you got the state regulations, and then you got the post regulations on top of that. So you got to be covered by both sides. It
Okay.
was wild. I had never heard anything like that before either.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he said they suspended his license.
Yeah, suspended it
Wow.
on post, so he couldn't hunt on Fort Jackson. He could still hunt, but he suspended his privilege to hunt on Fort Jackson.
Yeah,
But
Wow.
he's like, man, he said, I thought it was the quickest way back. What are you talking about?
yeah,
That's kind of, man. That's kind of nitpicking. But so you
Yeah.
guys have a velvet hunt. Y'all season starts what, August?
yeah,
What was
the
it, August
15th.
15th, Adam?
Yeah, South Carolina, um, August 15th, and then I think, and that's archery, and
Hmm.
then September 1st is still buck only, but it's archery and rifle.
Mhm.
Wow, that's early.
September 1st.
That
All the
is
way
crazy.
to January 1st.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I want to tell you, Antonio, a group of us, group of guys from the club, and we have some guys that come from like Florida, have a couple
Mhm.
guys that come from Alabama. We go to Cumberland Island every year. It's right off the coast of Georgia, down. Are you familiar with like where Kingsland, Georgia, right above Jacksonville?
I think yeah, because I think my wife
Right.
and I we went to we passed Jekyll Island and
Jekyll
past there.
Island is down there by Jekyll Island. It's
Okay.
Cumberland Island is 6.5 miles wide and 29 miles long. They have deer, they have hog, they have turkey, but you can't kill them. And they got some turkeys 40 pounds. They got some turkeys out there come up to your
Okay.
waist. But when we go, they have 3 hunts a year. They have a bow hunt, which is like the first week in October. They have a muzzleloader hunt, which I think is in November, and then they have a rifle hunt, which is in January.
Okay.
We go and we camp out for a week, and you can kill all the deer and hog you want.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I mean it's a great hunt, man. We camp, it's majority primitive now. They have a bath and shower house out there.
Mm.
You can take a bath every day, but other than that, we pitch tents. We got our cook tent. Every man, well, how we were doing it, every man would prepare a full meal enough to feed the group
Okay.
from his house, and then we'll heat it up. But now we got to where we cooking full course meals every night, man.
Oh, y'all
It's
eating good.
yeah, and it's a lot of walking. You're gonna probably walk a couple miles to your stand in the morning, and we would we pack lunch and stay out there. We come out to stand for lunch, but we just sit out on the trails and eat your lunch or whatnot. And then we go back and hunt in the evening, then march it back in the evening, man. But we kill a lot of game, man. We kill nice hogs. I've killed deer, I've killed hogs. Guy named James in our club, he killed a nice buck. A nice Cumberland Island buck, man.
Wow.
Okay.
That hog you killed a few years ago, out
Oh
there,
yeah.
out of my stand, by the way.
Uh, uh, uh,
is that still like one of the largest or the largest one? Because
that's the biggest hog we taken on the property.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. That hog, the scale had bottomed out at 300, and his head wasn't even off the ground yet at the
Ooh,
process. Yeah,
big
it
hog.
took me. Little Twin was the first one to get to me, and it took me and him about 45 minutes to drag that hog 20 yards.
Goodness.
And so we had to call the cavalry, and because we had to take him across a creek to get him out. And Mr. Joe, his 4-wheeler, man, it wouldn't pull him, so I had to call Big Twin, and Big Twin brought my 4-wheeler, and we was able to get him out of there. But that hog was like, he had to be, I'm gonna guesstimate on the lighter side 325, on the heavier side 350.
It's a
Wow.
big hog.
But
Yeah.
he was big, man.
Yeah.
That hog was huge,
Because
and I really didn't know he was that big. I was hunting that tree that I had. It was Adam's spot. I had gave it to Adam. I gave the spot to Adam, and hunting that weekend. So I said, well, I'm just gonna go over here and just sit. And I usually don't rifle hunt, but it was matter of fact, it was opening day of rifle season that evening.
Yep.
And I usually don't rifle hunt, but I said I'm just gonna go over here. I had just got a new Weatherby. I got a 6.5 300 Weatherby. It had just came out, and
Okay.
I looked back and I saw 9 hogs. I said I'm just gonna shoot the biggest one. And man, I didn't know he was gonna be 300 some pounds.
So the funny thing is, I'm saying I think I was at work and went back after I got off of work, was looking at my cameras or whatever, and I just see this 4-wheeler and this big slab just hanging over off the 4-wheeler. and I And I looked, and another picture came through, and then I saw it was Corey, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I looked again, and I was like, that's a pig. And I know I'd never seen any pigs on my camera at that spot. And so I text him, and I was like, is that you? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, "Oh, the hog." And then he told me the whole thing, and I was just like, golly.
Yeah.
That thing was huge. I hope I can find the picture, because I'm going to drop it in.
Yeah.
When I go
If
back.
not, if you don't, I will send it to you when we get off the phone.
Yeah, send it to
I'm gonna
me
tell you,
anyway.
man.
Yeah,
Huh?
send it to me anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, man. Like I said, we got an abundance of game, man. The hogs, we try to get a handle on them.
Yeah.
You know, because hogs, they can become a nuisance real
Mhm.
fast.
Quickly.
We killed, let's see, we trapped 26 of them last year. We trapped 31 the year before that. We try to trap, you know, because we have 3 traps running.
Yep.
Uh, and you know, I advise the guys, you know, even if you're deer hunting, if you see a hog, you need to take him out, you know. And if you
Yeah.
don't want the meat, if you don't want the meat, bring the meat back to camp. Somebody will want it, you know. But yeah, the hogs could get bad real fast.
Yeah. That's where anyway, like you say, you gotta get a handle on them before they run you out. They'll eat you out of house and home.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
So
we got a processor peach orchard. You'll go in there sometime, like, man, y'all got any hog meat? They're like, how many you want?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Corey, let me ask you because we're gonna put a ball in this. I forgot how much I could sit here and talk to you forever.
Hmm.
Um, what's the biggest takeaway you want everybody that's listening to this? Like we laughed, like Smooth came in, dropped some gems on us, and then dipped out. Like with the history, like
Yeah.
what's the biggest thing you want people to take away from this?
The biggest thing I want people to take away from this, man, and I think I touched on it earlier, man, is, you know, like I say, man, it was a real hard hit upside the head having to, you know, having to run this thing. The biggest thing that remind me of my dad having to run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And if it were one thing that I know my dad was always want, and I don't run this club based on what I want. I run this club based on what my dad would want or what the original 5 would have done. And they would just want people to work together, man. You
yeah,
know, we need to put our egos aside, you know, and I'm not just talking about my club, I'm talking about clubs in the area, I'm talking about clubs across the country.
yeah,
We need to find a way to come together.
yeah.
You know, Antonio, you ever want somewhere to hunt? Come and hang out at Buck Wild for a weekend. You know, I would invite anybody who want to just come and fellowship. You want to come and hunt. We have an archery tournament every year that we put on. Come down and shoot. You know, I shoot the bow and arrow professionally. If you want to learn, if you want me to look at your equipment, you know, whatever Buck Wild can do to help people and grow this sport, that's what we're doing. I can speak for everybody in my club when I say that. We gotta find a way to work together so we can keep this thing going, man. And I mean across the country, man. We gotta figure out a way to use this to help our community, to help the
Yeah.
communities that we hunt in, to help the communities that we live in, and you know, to pull these kids up, you know, so we can have a future in this thing. Cause you know, you never know. We might, at the way this country going, we might need these hunting skills to really feed
Yeah.
our family one day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's gonna be some kids out here that ain't gonna be able to eat. They're gonna be breaking in somebody's house or killing and robbing to be able to feed themselves. When if they hunt, if they knew how to fish, you know, they can always feed themselves, man. You know. So, you know, if I wanted to bring anything from this, man, I mean, you know, history is the best teacher. We
Yep.
got to learn how to come together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, Corey, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming back, spinning the block, and coming with us. As you know, like I told you the first time, y'all are welcome back anytime on the Bryant
Yeah.
Lynn Show. So we
Hey,
appreciate you for coming through and thank you. Good luck this season, bro.
hey, and I appreciate it. And I want to, you know, let everybody know, man. I want to thank you guys, man, for the patience, and thank you guys for, you know, the respect and allowing the Buck Wild story to be told, man. And we are actually going to be doing a documentary, um, called Buck Wild Forever. And I feel like we have a unique story, man. And if we could tell this story, if it just helped one person,
Yeah.
then we would have done some good, you know. So, be on the lookout for Buck Wild Forever coming soon, man. And
Absolutely.
the Real Talk series, I do a Real Talk series on Facebook. Real Talk 2025 will be coming within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And like I say, we on Facebook, Buck Wild Hunt Club. I'm Corey Bryant. You can look me up on Facebook as well, and on Instagram. And feel free to reach out, man. We each one teach one, man. We'd be more than happy.